Tēnā rawa mai e pā e tō mātai matua nui te rangi Yehohua. Whakamoe miti. Ai tā e hiuhi. Āmene, ka piti hono ka tātai hono, ko rātau rā tērā rātau te kā nuhi mate ki a rātau. Ka piti hono ka tātai hono, ko tātou mā tonu anu tēnei tātou mā kuang. Te kā nohi ora ki a tātou, kai te mihi, tēnā rā tātou, mauri ora. Kahuri, kia ora mai rā. Yeah, just some kōrero to hand e tātou mā. Lots and lots of questions coming in on the latest of the settlements that have just come in e tātou mā. So rather than try to cover it in the kōrero for Wairarapa next week, we decided to, and this might happen from time to time, you know, because we're going to get, obviously, the crown. We're going to get kahungunu rangitāne now and again. Try to save face and try to make us look as if we're the ones who are contradicting ourselves, and that's not the case. I assure you of that. That's why I'm on today, bringing you the extra kōrero. This is additional kōrero to Wairarapa, which for next week is only on the o mani. Okay, so next week we wouldn't have time for this particular kōrero. Well, I've jumped on now just to answer a number of the questions out there, a lot of them from young people asking about, you know, exactly what's happening, because, yeah, some of them are a little confused and are quite frankly getting frustrated about exactly what's happening. Well, what's happening is that, as of yet, the kahungunu rangitāne and the crown, you know, they can't come clean yet. That's really all that's going on. They are not accepting the fact, and we think it's because of the flawed nature of the process and the flawed nature of the whole of the ways in which they work. You know, it's propagandist. It looks to dominate the process all the time. It's a totalitarian dictatorship. Do you notice that? Do you notice every time the crown comes in, kahunu rangitāne get the upper hand, they look like they're dominant? Well, a lot of the questions also this week have come from the public, and we're feeling a little bit sorry for the public, especially the community at large in Wairarapa. This is specific kōrero to Wairarapa, and a lot of our own people too, our own Tahumaakaakanuimatua people, are a little confused and a little frustrated at exactly what's happening, because Wairarapa moana, where the lakes have been said to be handed back to the kahungunu iwi, and the rangitāne iwi isn't in fact absolutely, you know, comprehensively true. Now, the reason for that is that kahungunu is uri whānau uri. They're not iwi. Okay, so they're not hapu iwi. Rangitāne nui a rangi as well. They're not iwi either. So neither of those groups are the iwi here, here in Wairarapa we are. And this is why we've been saying settlement will conclude with us. We are the hapu iwi of the region of Wairarapa, and so we, as I have stipulated to some of my colleagues, I'll need to get on and just reassure a lot of our people that it is us that will conclude comprehensively the settlement of Wairarapa. Now, and that includes whether they include us in the reparation, the compensation, or anything like that. You know what they haven't realised is that actually we're not even worried about any of that. We're not even worried about any of that. We don't even care about their stupid Crown process. We don't care about what the Crown sees as standard and all this sort of garbage, because it's not customary. If none of it's customary, then it's not legal, and if none of it's legal or customary, then it's not stuff that we don't adhere to any of that. We're not a puppet of the Crown, in other words, which is pretty much what the Kahungunu and Rangitane are. So, in answering some of your questions, hopefully that clears up the first of them, a number of them being questions around those areas of the process ideally. It's propagandist, so it wants to appear to the public at large, to the wider public. It wants to appear as if everything is justified and everything is legal. And in fact, everything is not legal, it's legal. And that's the sort of process we've been dealing with here. Now, if you can picture that, we are the Tutura, the customary, and the staunch and true Hapu iwi. We are the proper people of the land here. We are mana wenua. And we've been standing up for that right through the last 15 years, and we're going to continue to. And we're going to continue to stand against kahungunu rangitane. That's what we've decided, and we've decided to do that because of their willingness to try and get us to back off them and help them to look like in the public eye like they're doing some sort of justified commitment. They're performing responsibilities and obligations that are justified via this process. But in fact, nothing is justified. Nothing that they have done has been justified at all. Nothing that they have done has been customary. And everything that they have done didn't work. See? When we came in and they opposed us in the claims process, we basically beat them. We beat them by 2016, and so they've been struggling along really since 2016 to try and get a handle and get a handle on things and get their heads around exactly what they were trying to tackle there, because they didn't really know. Now they know. Now they know. So they're trying to use their propagandist process to make us look contradictory and them look like they're fired, and that's incorrect, e tatama. So just to clarify all of that for you, kahungunu rangitane, I'm not in control here, and they're not justifiably in control either, because this land, Wairarapa, is not kahungunu rangitane, the whole. Okay, sorry, a little bit of a disturbance there, a little bit of interference there into the Wi-Fi connection, but that's okay, we've got plenty of data here. And yeah, just going into that, particular situation that we have there, e tātou mā, just looking to, I mean, because we're not going to have enough time in our kōrero next week to be able to carry on all of this kōrero as well as the tiriti and the kōrero for next week, okay? And that's for Waitarapa Taradua on Monday. Yeah, and so for this, te Kaaou, 11 Ngamaatoutou 2024. An additional kōrero for Waitarapa Taradua around Waitarapa Moana, yes. All of the land and the lakes of Waitarapa Moana, the Maunga, the whole of the area is Tahumaakaakanuimatua Hapu iwi e tatama, and we commit our kōrero today to the simple fact that we stick by our word because we know it is fact. It is factual. That is exactly what is going to happen. Now, with their propagandist, totalitarian dictatorship, whatever process they want to call it, because it's illegal and it's operating illegally in this region in Waitarapa Taradua, it's not one that we care about. So therefore, be not concerned, be not worried, e tātou mā. All of Tahumaakaakanuimatua needs to just relax. And all of our island whanaunga, our whanaunga of the island, our whanaunga from Western Samoa, Tutura, Tongatapu, the Mayan Indians, and of course Hawaii from Maui. All of those whanaunga need just relax because everything's fine. We have everything under our control and we're feeling good about everything. But we see why people were so frustrated and confused about the settlements. They even televised it on Te Karere. And that's the thing about Te Karere, is that they don't care who they're trampling over with Te Karere, if it's news to them and if it's politically correct for them, if it follows a Crown agenda, if it supports the Crown process, then they will back it and they'll run that story. So, and that's a shame because that goes against us, and it also, moves like that made by Te Karere makes us look contradictory, and we're not. Yeah, we're not. We're too upfront and honest, unlike Kaaou and the Crown, who should be really saying, look, by 2016 we realised we were wrong. We were opposing the Tahumaakaakanuimatua o Tutura Hapu iwi with claims that were false. See, that's what they should say to Te Karere, and they should declare that. Okay, now between 2016 and by 2022 they thought, well, a takeover was the only way to go, and so they've tried to take us over since then, but we've refused, and a lot of our people are up in arms. Sorry about all these interferences. I don't know why it's going on about a slow connection, because we are on data, but I guess it's the strength of the Wi-Fi that's giving us some interference there. So if you hear me go off for a bit, that's only because of that. So we're getting a little bit of interference there, and I'm having to wait until I come back on. And so that's what we have here. The Crown, Kahunu thinking that, well, a takeover is imminent, so whether they want that or not, so let's make them look as contradictory as possible. And probably one of the main people behind that is probably Hinari Manaina, who didn't even bother to show up at the actual settlement they had there in the handback of the lakes there. We laughed at it. We laughed at the whole thing because we know what a shambles and a shamazo and a scam it all is. Okay, all those people there, we felt sorry for all those people. Even TeTaiHauauru was there, and we were surprised about that because if I were them, I wouldn't support settlements like that. I wouldn't support handbacks like that because it's been handed back to the wrong people. It should be handed back to us, to the Tahumaakaakanuimatua or Tutura, Tuturu. Kahunurangi in fact, only have small parts of lands within Wairarapa. They don't own it. Tahumaakaakanuimatua or Tutura owns it. Okay? Now, so, yeah, let's try and get the record straight. We find ourselves in this sort of position a lot. And so, yeah, sorry for this additional kōrero. We might take about an hour or so, and that's about it. That's why I'm not worried about the little interferences there. But, yeah, there was a great need because so much, yeah, so many questions, lots from young people, lots from the public, lots from our own people, from Tahumaakaakanuimatua. Because in actual fact, it's us who have it in the bank. Okay, okay. So just making sure that I'm not the one trying to save face. By the way, it's Kahunurangi and the Crown. Now they're never going to get control from us, regardless of what requirements of the process might be. They will need to swallow their pride, the Crown, and they will need to, because you know. They have to recognise as well that the whole of the motu has started to recognise that they are fraudulently with control over the country as a result of the takeover of sovereignty of the country, fraudulently. Okay, they have to think about that and think about the simple fact that the Crown has messed up big time in Wairarapa. The Crown has messed up big time also in Tahumaakaakanuimatua, and that we are the people they've messed up with. We are the people they should be talking to. We are the people that should be the LNG. However, you know, we're not worried about any of that because there are ways we can work. Well, I don't know whether you call it working with the process, but it certainly is working within these systems that are illegally operating within our lands. See, at the time of TeTiriti, the signing of the old money, Tahumaakaakanuimatua or Tutura did not officially sign the old money. So that means any operations in our lands, that includes most of the South Island, that includes a great number of lands in the north and also in the east. E tatauma, their illegal operations are going to be, they're going to be called into question in the courts, in the Supreme Courts. International court, they're going to be taken to international court as well, and we are going to go at them until the Crown actually shuts down in this country. Okay, they don't give us our settlement and they are had it in this country, and we'll just take it at the end of the day. Okay, because we can, because legally we can, because legally we do. Because legally, there was another interruption again. Because legally we did not sign TeTiriti. We do not have to back off settling in our lands. These are our lands. Basically, totally proven. And totally proven that they're not Kahunurangi. Basically, they got this flawed process saying that it is, so they are trying to keep up appearances and make things appear that everything is justified and legal beagle, whereas in actual fact it's legal beagle. Okay, anything that tramples customary law. I mean, we're backed by New Zealand common law and international law as well. So there's no way in the world that the Crown or Kahungunu Rangitane could get away with this. If they're trying to stage a takeover or anything like that, there's no way that they can do that. Okay? So all of the rangatahi out there, the tamariki, the hio uake, be rest assured, and all of the mokopuna, be rest assured that there are no problems for Tahumaakaakanuimatua. There are going to be no problems for Tahumaakaakanuimatua, and that we will conclude these settlements as we look to take over, as we can rightfully do so. And we can take over as a result of the simple fact, we have superior evidence on our claims here. 2,000 to 3,000 year backing and support of Taunahanahatūpuna, Taunahanahawenua. We have the native title here. We have the long time inheritance here. We are the ahika. And not only that, but we have all the proof, and they have none. So when they realized in 2016 that it was Tahumaakaakanuimatua o Tutura and Wairarapataratua, they thought about things. They tried to get their head around what they were facing here. They talked about what they might do, how they might tackle it, and they decided, well, a takeover was the best way, since they knew we wanted to settle, and we did. We did want to settle, but we wanted a settlement that we would agree with. We don't totally agree with the current requirements of the settlement to hand, but we have fully put forward that we want to settle. What they don't realise is that if they don't settle and they settle only for themselves, they're still going to lose the settlement, because we're going to take over anyway. See? Now, we can do that legally because we have the right of way. They don't. They're not Tahumaakaakanuimatua Tuturu. Legally, we are. We are. See? So we have right of way. The law would actually be supporting us. Okay? Okay, so be rest assured, relax, and be positive, everybody out there, all of Tahumaakaakanuimatua and Tahumaakaakanuimatua land, that be rest assured that the Crown process cannot defeat us. The Kahungunu Rangitane haven't been able to defeat us. And, with God on our side, who could? Who could? Who could even go against us, That's a question that I ask a lot of, because we tend to be, we're quite a conqueror. A lot of our people and a lot of the public are quite right about that. We've become quite a hitiarapa, ke hoki no mātau, ki te wāhi tonu, ki te ao mai nei, pena ake atu I te hapu iwi. Okay, hapu iwi. Now, lucky for that. Lucky for that. Otherwise, we could have lost out early in the piece. Otherwise, Kahungunu Rangitane would be in control. And otherwise, we'd have lost our whole claim. And realise, e tatauma, all of the public out there, tāna tangata, katoa mai nei I te hapori. Be rest assured, Tahumaakaakanuimatua has everything under control. Because this is our land, Tuturu. This is our land. People like Henare Manaina, they haven't, they haven't got a brass razoo of an idea of exactly what they're doing, and exactly what they're doing is trying to carry out with a flawed process and system around them under the crown, who is totalitarian dictatorship and is operating illegally in our land. Stage a coup. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to hijack the place. Mind you, I think nowadays they've given that up. They also choose not to communicate these ideas with us, but we've got a fair idea of exactly what's going on and what they're up to. We're not silly, and we have our intel in amongst them, so we're not silly. We know exactly what's going on there, and we're never going to give up on our lands or our people. 280,000 plus in the Moti. We could be more. A lot of people are saying, especially down south, they're saying we could be a lot more than 280,000 plus. And if we are, we'll have to account for every one of them, every one of those people, because they're all ours. Okay, e tatama. Just remember, Kahungunu Rangitane didn't get into the country until circa 1350 AD. Okay, so it's hardly likely that Wairarapa Taradua has always been all theirs. Kai te he tēnā kōrero. Kai te he tēnā kōrero. 2,000 to 3,000 years of heritage in this country through the first inhabitants of TeTaiHauauru. Lots of our, by the way, a lot of the initial intermarriages of our tūpuna into groups like this, like, for instance, Waitaha Ariki, Waitaha Nui, for instance, other groups like Tahumaakaakanuimatua, Kahungunu Rangitane as well. All of our intermarriages where we started to overlay these tribes, and in fact where all of them you will find well before circa 1350, they were already overlaid. Okay, so that's 3 generations of intermarriage with Tahumaakaakanuimatua. Why? Because we're so prestigious. Okay, right through those times, us and Te Awa. Yes, Moriori were, yes, Moai were as well, but they weren't as expensive, nowhere near as expensive as we were. Okay, that's the only difference. They were nowhere near as expensive. Māmoe Hapu Iwi was another group, quite expensive. But you'll find over times a lot of the Te Awa lands were lost. A lot of the Moai Hapu Iwi lands were lost, and also Moriori. Okay, but they still have lands in the country. We still exist in the country, and we're all the most senior in the country, so we may as well. Okay, and we may as well still exist. And for Moriori, even though they're the 5th line of descent of Hapu Iwi in the country, yeah, definitely they need to stand up as well and be counted in the country. What I'm hoping, though, is that the Moriori are not reliant upon the Waikato, because I don't think the Waikato are as safe as they think. They think they're very safe, Waikato. I doubt it. I doubt it. And the reasons for that is they're too teina. Firstly. Secondly, that they are not realising, but their most direct line is not Moriori, so they can stop trying to back their claims with a strong claim to being most direct Moriori. That's incorrect. And what tells us that? Well, Reo Hapu Ureta Rewa Whānau Uri for a start. Reo Hapu Ureta Rewa Whānau Uri like that is not Moriori. That's more so probably Tini Otoi. Okay? Tini Otoi, Awa. There you go. That's where Waikato is at. And that's a funny thing with some groups that over the 1854, circa 1854 AD through to circa 1954 AD period of time in our heritage, in our colonial heritage, those groups that sort of, found a sort of a sort of a rock ledge, to balance upon, and look, stronger in amongst the mix. The Kigitanga being one of those groups, Tūhoe being another one, Awa being another one. Look, yeah, they stuck out. And they were far from senior, nor were they those that had the prominence or the preeminence over the land. So they can cut it out, Waikato. Okay? Waikato needs to cut that out. Just like the Awa, just like the Tūhoe, need to cut it out as well. Okay, because the heritage as it is, we need to be more aware, those of us who are not, and probably the kahungurangita, the Waikato as well, and the Awa Tūhoe are probably not even aware of any of that. Why? Because they're too lost in the fact that over that period in time, they got to look more prestigious than everybody else, whereas in fact they weren't. Okay? Our statuses did not change in this country. The Crown and its fraudulent ways and its illegal operations in this country, where it applied the illegal interpretation, the fraudulent interpretation of TeTiriti, the old money, to the country. And they did that illegally, totally illegally. All those moves, everything that we had been put through right through that time was done illegally. The Crown needs to remember that. The Crown needs to remember that by the end of this, all of our super tribes, especially the Hapu iwi of the country, will be looking to see that the landlordship in this country is reversed totally. Okay? And it'll have to be. Especially where lands have been sold unlawfully under the Crown. That's the Crown fault. That's not our fault. Okay, the Crown will need to pay for those wrongdoings, where immigrants have been sold land that they shouldn't have. Okay, and I would say there's a lot of land in there. There's a lot of land under the Crown that was taken unlawfully. There's a lot of land that they hold as private land in the country, all that sort of thing. Dock land, all that sort of thing needs to be released across the land once we start to make moves on the Crown, and generally just take the Crown apart. International court speaks for itself. Once you're in there and you're on the receiving end, you're not looking too good. Okay, you're not looking too good at all. And that's the position that the Crown is actually in right at this very moment. E Tahumaakaakanuimatua is not going to rest until we not just get our settlements, but we get the whole of the rest of the 97% of everything that's ours in this country. Okay, because this is our land. Okay, first and foremost, this is our land. We don't mind sharing it with the incoming. We don't mind sharing it with our Pākehā brothers and sisters. We don't, none of that is a problem, by the way. But just a whole lot of housework stuff we need to get working out properly and working out legally and working out in a way that things can be gotten back to being orderly and Tutura in this country. Okay? Now, we will never give up our tūturutanga, no matter what sort of adaptations or sort of, ways that we like to live today. And some of the things that we do not live with today. It might be a bit different to yesteryear, but e tatauma. Tēnā tūturutanga mautonu. Okay? Tēnā tūturutanga o Tahumaakaakanuimatua mautonu kinoto. You know, so we're not going to give up our tūturutanga that easily. We might not practice some things, but we still are the tūturu Tahumaakaakanuimatua. A Hapu nation among Hapu nations. A state who has been a powerhouse in the world before and is almost back to being that powerhouse in the world again. Okay, so e tatauma, just be rest assured. I bring you all of that kōrero today. I thought, just give me an hour and I'll answer all these questions that have come our way. Wairarapa moana is tūturu Tahumaakaakanuimatua o Tutura. Be rest assured, the whole of Wairarapa Tararua is Tahumaakaakanuimatua o Tutura. Now, if you see any other settlements where, or handbacks of land or whatever they're trying to show that they're doing justifiably or legally in Wairarapa Tararua, largely you should ignore it. Especially if it's under kahunu rangitane. Do not take heed to their kōrero. Because it's all Tahumaakaakanuimatua, tūturu, all the lands here, and the people. See, but these people haven't found the guts yet to admit all of that. Okay? All those people you saw talk on that news bulletin the other day, speaking about their rights in these lands. Yeah, they got rights, but they haven't got the overall rights. We have that, and we legally have that. The Crown is still operating illegally in this land. Okay? I'd love to kick their ass, kick them fair in the ass, the Crown. They still haven't listened to us to cut this sort of garbage out. I'd love to punch some of them in the head, to be honest. And some of these kahunu rangitane along with them, because they're such, hekurutau. They're just puppets, eh? And I think the Crown is looking forward to trying to, work us in a way, or mould us in a way, or shape us in some sort of a way that they could get that sort of totalitarian dictatorship control over us as well. Well, they don't offer enough, let's put it that way. They don't offer enough, hey? The settlements, their packages aren't enough. Okay, but we'll take it. We'll take whatever comes, We're not too worried about that. We're not too worried about taking it. We're not that proud. Okay? But the Crown needs to stand corrected, and they need to have the guts to admit that. They need to have the guts to admit that we've smashed their whole process, and we've smashed right through it. And we are the winners in this settlement. And that's how it's going to be at Tatauma, right at the end. Even if they try and settle without us, because we're never going to give in to what they want. Any of their requirements that they want, we're going to go next, next and next. Because at the end of the day, we can just take it, because it's all ours. Okay? quite legally. Okay, e tatauma, that's almost an hour there. I'll just check. Yeah. I've covered most of the kōrero there. And in fact, all those people, those that are within leaderships of kahunu and rangitane, gosh, you know, those people are some of the least of integrity, of strength and capability of leading any iwi. What makes them think that their tribes are iwi at all? What makes some of these so-called leaders think that they even have the ability, under all that that illegally, you know, that imaginary power that they you know, that they wield? What makes them think that they actually have the ability to carry all of that? I see the kahunu leader from Heretaunga Wairua with his tokotoko there, and I laughed at that. Because I guarantee you, he doesn't realise his reo fails to match that tokotoko. And I would like to say, just in closing, e tatauma, that kahunu rangitane, as soon as the kahunu uri, whānau uri, which is the super tribe that has no ureta rewa, therefore it's not a hapu at all, and rangitane nui a rangi hapu ureta rewa whānau uri, because that is a first stage still. Hapu, you know, far from iwi. Neither of those groups are iwi at all, which have, you know, between 5 and 8 plus ureta rewa. That's to the fullest extent. Okay, so we need to think about those things. Don't panic. Ka wara hoki e pō nā e tatauma. Ka wara hoki e manawa pā. No te mea rā e tatauma. Yeah, we've got all bases covered here. And we will take our settlement one way or the other. If they think that their process can push us around, they need to think twice about that, because they've never been able to push us around. That's how we've smashed them about over the last 15 years. And basically, they should have listened to me back in 2009. September 17, 2009, they should have gone under. And, that, you know, I said that to them because I knew exactly what the outcome was going to be of all of this. I knew right back then that we had all bases covered. I knew the strength of our foundations, and that in the motu, our foundations were about to not fail e tatauma. And so they realised that in 2016, the kahunu rangitane. And that's why we've got the situation that we have now. Let's hope that they swallow their pride and they just, because Hami and them have got to be next. They'll come up next. They'll step up to the plate. Let's hope they've got some guts and they just go under. Because that's the only right these groups have got. I assure you, I've told many of our people in the community that's the only right they have. And that's to go under. Why? These groups are thousands and thousands and thousands. In fact, a couple of 100,000 ancestries junior within our Hapu iwi. Yes, they are part of Tahumaakaakanuimatua, but they're way, as you can tell, by the numbers, there are a couple of 100,000 way down the bottom here. E tatauma. They need to get their facts straight. We are the Hapu iwi, we are the proven Hapu iwi. They are proven to not be. Just because the Crown wants to say within its totalitarian dictatorship that they are, kai te he tēnā kōrero tā Crown. Kai te he tēnā kōrero. You know? And I don't mind telling the Crown there. Kai te he koutou. Hoki koutou ki tō koutou nā kā i ngā tūturu. No mātau tēnei. No mātau kē tēnei. No Tahumaakaakanuimatua Tutura. O Tutura Tuturu. Okay? And whilst you still illegally operate in our lands, be rest assured you're on your way out of here. Okay? No reira nā, e tata mā, tā ngā tangata hapuri, mai anō i roto kātoa toa tonu ia tātai mātau. Kai te mihi atu, kai te mihi atu, kai te mihi atu. Ai pā, Yehovah, Father Lord, so many thanks, so many exaltations run through my mind and through my joyous heart at the moment, because here we are again, celebrating really the victory over the evil that has been running for the last 2 centuries in our lands. You, Father Lord, have committed yourself to ensuring that you, step by step, got rid of the whole the whole of what it's made of. You know, it's a big, awful, evil, satanic machine made out of feudalist, barbaric ways of doing things that committed our ancestors to the most horrific crimes in the last 2 centuries in the world. And a massive heist of magnificent proportions, Epa, and you have brought us this far. We commit the whole of the victory to you. We commit the glory to you. Just as we commit every one of the matters, every one of the issues, every one of the claims and rights and interests, we commit them all to you, Father Lord. Yehovah, we, as we do, as God first people now, Tahumaakaakanuimatua, having returned to the very, very first of our atuatuatanga and amongst the ancients of our people, amongst the Kushites, we now can say pretty much, though many of our people still commit to tūturutanga based on our tūpuna from within our land here, there's not much you can do about that, and not much we can do either. But Father Lord, pretty much, deep down in our hearts, we know the good and the advantageousness and the goodness of your culture and your way of thinking, your way of doing things, and your love and mercy and saving grace. In Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Kaapiti hono ka tātai hono, ko rātau rā tērā rātau, te kānohi mate tonu hoki kia rātau. Kaapiti hono ka tātai hono, ko tātau mātonu anō tēnei tātau, ko te kānohi ora kia tātau mākua. Kai te mihi atu, kai te mihi atu, kai te mihi atu tēnā rā tātau, a mauri ora.